moves forward with that. Give a little bit of feedback.
Sound wasn't working at first.
I'm muted now.
Someone trying to
No. Still coming through.
no.
It's the first time that's happened.
We held on.
No.
Is your sound on?
I'm muted.
No, like volume.
I'm muted. How about now? That might be better. No.
Trying to.
Worse. I don't want to talk. Hold on. How about now?
All the mics
Including this.
Mobile.
Try now.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Where is that sound coming from?
Yes. How about now? Better?
Yes.
Oh.
What was it?
Computer. The superintendent's fault. First, I'm very proficient in technology, and second,
Hey, you found it.
I'm not proficient in
Found it,
technology. Never happens in the classroom, does it, Mr. Gore?
Never ever. Better
Always
you than me.
works perfectly. How about that? Does how's that coming through, Mrs. DeGraw? On the
I hear all of us.
okay.
Thank you for being patient.
Well, no, thank you guys for having me come, and I think it just needed to give me a little bit extra time to prepare, so appreciate you guys. So I just wanted to show you guys, and I appreciate you letting me come in and just talk to you a little bit about what we're doing in government. This was from last trimester, so this has all been over. This was the second try, but it was for my dual credit government B class, and we also did this with Mr. Taylor's government class. So this was a joint kind of PLC created class, and so it centered on congressional bills and making bills, and I kind of want to show you guys a little bit more about what we did there.
Mrs. DeGraw, on this monitor here, if you wouldn't mind minimizing the two windows on Zoom. there.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the first thing I want to show you guys is this is my like standard. Sorry the way it's formatted. Like I tried to get this like formatted in a way that was appealing, but this just comes from my standards in my table, my chart. And so this was for standard 6-1. And I usually have like a question, like what I call a generative question. So in this unit, we're talking about Congress. We're trying to understand the rules of Congress, how Congress works, all that kind of stuff. So my generative question was this one that said, whose views should members of Congress represent when voting? So we went over different types of representatives and how they represent their constituents, rather it be trustee or it be, delegate or whatever it might be. And then we decided that we wanted to look more in depth, and this is the standard. Students will understand how Congress is organized and how the legislative branch passes bills into laws. So that was our big thing that we wanted to look at, okay? And then you can see in my standards here, like that C link is supposed to be a link that allows you to see like past work from students so they can see what was proficient. These are prerequisite skills. They have to know what the House and the Senate are. They have to know what legislative means. They have to know what a bill is. And then this is a common assessment. That's where we're going to have students write. These are different assessments we're doing. So students would write to congressional members and ask them questions and like talk to them about some things, as well as in our extension standard, which was students were going to. Students who finish the summative assessment early will research. Congressman about smart. Thank you. That helps. Okay. So and this is something's not written here, but that's not our assessment. That was a sub assessment. It was a formative assessment that we did. The summative assessment was writing a bill to understand how Congress operated and worked and stuff. So I apologize, it's not written there like that, but it should be. And so then me and Mr. Taylor, we spent actually some time getting together, kind of going over what would this look like, how would students do this. His class was the Senate and mine was the House of Representatives. My class had just gotten done with a school election to nominate a president or to elect a president. And so we had just finished that. And then my class turned into Congress. And with that, we went into kind of showing them what we expected. And so this next slide here, it shows you guys the proposals that they wanted, things that they wanted to look at, things that the constituents at the school voted for. So these are actual issues that kids at our school cared about. They did this by polling kids, by going into classrooms and talking to them. So Friday day, every Friday being a blended day, right? That was something they wanted to look into. 6-period practice period, separating middle school from the high school, not sharing teachers, 4-day school week, later school start time, student parking, longer lunch, senior projects. You can tell it was made by students for sure, right? So these are all things that students are interested in. And this is what I really like about the project is it helps students really understand just how complicated and how detailed things are. Like, you want to have an extended lunch? What does that mean? Like, oh, wait, the state has like standards of seat time that we actually have to be in class. And oh, like if we do that, what are we going to add here or take away? Or we have to start earlier or end earlier, or we have to give up some of our break or whatever. So students really started to realize that. So these are the things that they proposed, things that they wanted to look at. And each of these things were started in a committee where they were brought to the general floor. They were researched and looked at in the committee. So in the next slide, it should show you guys kind of rubrics that we created. So the first one there, if you would click on that, Mr. Williams, that's a congressional bill link that we used. Oh, wait, no, that's our rubric. And that rubric just kind of goes through, and it just was a nice guide for the kids to see what is a 4, 3, 2, 1, and what feedback can we give these kids in committee, right? So the kids would get this rubric, they'd go to committee, and the committee members would hear the bill, and they would kind of, using the rubric and some of their own things, kind of give them feedback on that. And for instance, this first category is about unforeseen consequences. Like you think that if you just institute this, that there's not going to be any problems. Well, there's a lot of unforeseen things that maybe you're not realizing. So that's how well they addressed that. The next portion was the organization. Is it organized the right way, the way a bill ought to be organized? Is it something that we can navigate fairly easy? The next one is, is it pursuable? Is this something like, after we've looked into the work, is it something you really want to go and try the effort of actually accomplishing and doing? Maybe it sounded good at the beginning, and then maybe as you started doing research, you're like, this isn't really something you can pursue because, we have to go to the state of Idaho to talk to them about changing state policy or whatever it might be. So is it even pursuable? And then our last one was just like, grammar and like just, it's got to be, eloquent enough, it's got to look right in order for it to be a bill. So that was our first rubric there. And then the next one was just a mock bill. We used the Princeton model bill. And I really liked this website because one, it showed them how to write a bill. She talked about preamble, body, and an enactment clause. But then if you scroll down, it actually has a sample to the bill. So we could go and talk to them about NASA Space Hotel, or I used the agricultural subsidy bill because I thought that would connect with kids out here a lot. And they could see like what an actual bill looks like, how it's written, and what theirs should look like. This was a good template for them to use. So that was the model that we had there. So once we did that, kids got into committee, they did research. If you just go into the next slide here, students, the process was students first just went into their committees and did a lot of research. Then they created what was called an information page, a page that just was like, here's just information that anybody should know when dealing with this bill. And then they wrote the bills, and then the committees heard the bills. And they had a vote. We tried to be pretty tough on them. Most bills die in committee. What is it? I think 1 out of 10 bills actually survive committee. And so we wanted them to see a realistic kind of situation where, you might love something, but it's not going to make it because you didn't do something right. That was usually based on the rubric that they had. And then once it passed, it went to the general floor for a division of the House to see what the House actually voted on it to see. Right? This included, having somebody sponsor the bill, getting in front of the class. Here you have Amberlyn. She's presenting her bill to our class with our new awesome interactive TVs. We tried to follow parliamentary procedure. If you look on that bottom part there, that's the Roberts cheat sheet for parliamentary procedure. And so, we weren't perfect at it, but we tried our best to.
And I did notice you had some gavels in there too.
We had gavels.
In the classroom, so.
Yeah. So we wanted them to kind of fill and understand why parliamentary procedure is important and why it's used and all that stuff. Okay. So if you click on the extended lunch bill, that's an example of an actual bill that probably was one of the better written ones and probably was one of the most well-researched. So here's their information page. I think these students, they did a lot of research. And what was kind of exciting was the fact that, everybody wants longer lunch. And then they started realizing wait a second, and then when they came back and they're like, yeah, we're going to extend lunch by 5 minutes. Kids were like, well, that's not long enough. And they could come back and say, well, actually, if you wanted it longer, here's what we're going to have to do. And kids didn't like the other options. So I think it showed them adults, they're not just stupid. We make choices and decisions based on protocols, policies, procedures that we have to do. And I think it opened their eyes a little bit to that. So that's their information page to help, whoever was going to try to pass it, understand all the rules and laws and stuff. And then if you go down, this is their actual bill, right? So they've got the reason why having such a short lunch is so hard, right? This is all the abuses and why it's so difficult to have lunch the way it is. They went to, safety concern, tardy counts, the need for decompression time to be able to decompress and do all that stuff there. And then they had their new schedule, what they were hoping to do, how it would deal with nutrition break. You can see they went to a lot of detail into this, and it was good. And they even have this schedule here for everybody to see.
They came to the superintendent's office and
Yeah.
visited for a while.
Yeah.
They set up a meeting with me and approached it and asked me questions. This was a really good group, so I'm glad to see this was one of the model.
It was one that passed, and it got to the general floor, and this one passed the House. It went to the Senate, and the Senate, they killed it. And I think for a couple of reasons. One, there was some real technical issues with it. I also think it was maybe a little bit of retribution for killing their bill. And that never happens in politics. The Senate and the House, they always act very maturely and pass things based on the merits of it. So I was really proud of this group. I think they did a great job. There was definitely things they could have improved on, but they did a good job. So that was a fun bill. So after we had that, they went and they switched the House and the Senate, and sadly none of them passed either house. The bills in the Senate that went to the House, none of them passed. That one was the 4-day school week, and it was a great meeting, great conversation with those kids. And then the House to the Senate didn't pass as well. And me and Mr. Taylor, we kind of take that more on ourselves. So this was on the next part here on my slide.
I have the right one.
Yeah, just one more. Yeah, so takeaways. These are things that me and Mr. Taylor looked back and we're like, this is what we're gonna do differently next time. So we need to review the rubric and kind of go into more detail about some stuff, some more specifics about what we're expecting. We also really needed to do a better job talking about sponsors and lobbying. How, you can't show up to somebody and say, hey, sponsor my bill, please, and then have them get in front of a bunch of people and try to pass. Like, you need to spend time coaching them. You need to spend time maybe schmoozing them a little bit and get them to really support your bill. And we needed more time for research and emphasis. We just were running out of time. It was taking more than we thought. And I wish I would have made the general floor, a little bit more formal. I think the formality makes it feel a little bit more real. So I like even just having a podium for them to be at would be something really helpful. So yeah, what questions can I answer or things that I can talk about to you? Yeah.
So did each class do both of these? I mean, did each class, did they just take certain bills and sponsor them?
Yeah, so
So like the House sponsored some of these that you put down here?
yes.
Did each of them try to sponsor all of them?
Yeah, so like no, like so the 4-day school week, nobody opted to take that in my house. In the House, nobody
Okay.
wanted to do that one, so they left that alone. But in the Senate, that was a big one for them. So
Okay.
they opted to do that.
And how long did this unit take?
This unit took 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
That was with like notes, with like them researching, writing, doing the arguments and all that stuff. It took.
So when you said you took some time to elect a president, you were talking about a president of your own right there in the class.
In my classroom, yeah.
Right, so you had a president, you had the two houses. Did you have some people that were lobbyists, or did they do their own lobbying?
So we didn't really we kind of left it on them to do lobbying, and that's why one of the takeaways was we should have done a better job of lobbying, because
Have some people just designated to that?
yeah, possibly, yeah, that would have been able to go to the bills and try to get sponsors and get people to really support
But
them.
in this time, you also examined some of the real bills that were in Congress and the House, right?
We talked about a few, we looked at, we talked about the Affordable Care Act, we talked about, several bills like that, just kind of going into what makes bills pass, what makes them die. We talked a little bit about pork and how people stuff in there and
Earmarks.
Yeah, earmarks and everything like that, so. They even tried to do that a little bit, some of them. So
This is the first time you've done this?
So I've done this kind of by myself last year, and yeah, it's gotten better. So last year, we just did the in-house with me, and then this year, me and Mr. Taylor, I give him a lot of credit. Mr. Taylor is really good at details in Congress, and he really helped make this come alive. So he did a great job.
This is a great unit.
Yeah,
Really, really good.
it's a lot
And
of
is
fun.
it juniors and seniors?
This is just seniors.
Just seniors.
Yeah. And I love it because the students, the seniors, every day we'd have these conversations and they'd be like, oh man, I can't believe that they're mad at me and so they're gonna try to kill my bill. And I'm like, yeah, that happens. And so it was just always connections back to actual politics. Yeah. When people complain about bills and how long they are, well, there's a reason. There's a lot of detail in the bills. So it was really cool to see them really see firsthand how bills work.
Do you think that,
Did you designate a speaker of the House then
So
in the
yeah,
House side?
so we had the students voted. They voted for Jenny Harrelson to be Speaker of the House, and so he actually ran the meetings. He had one of the pictures there has him with the javelin, or not javelin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Escalated.
we take things up another notch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to have.
Yeah, and so he was kind of in charge.
So did he learn how to keep order in the meeting and
Yeah.
so forth?
Yeah, and he got kind of, I think, tired
Thus
of it.
javelin.
Yeah. Thus, yes. No, he got, you could tell he's a little bit of fatigue, a little bit hey, nobody, the speaker didn't recognize you, or, that wasn't second, there was no second motion to that, or,
Amen.
yeah. So, at one point, it was just like, it is exhausting to sit here and try to keep order all the time. So, yeah, that was cool. Other questions I can answer for you?
This one, come on,
Yeah, well, feel free to anytime come over.
What hour are?
right?
So
Is
this
just
was,
one try.
so for this, it's just one, the government, yeah, has 2 tries, right? But, we were done now with that. So government's over now. That finished up in the 2nd trimester.
I imagine there's just a lot of work that has to go into this. It's not every day something you want to watch.
Yeah,
Because you're only getting, a few people are working on one bill,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Some other people are working on another, and it's kind of,
right. There's a lot of like research time and a lot of like time
so it's not every
just
day we
even
want to watch.
conversing. Yeah, like some of the best, most rewarding parts of it were just the conversations with the kids. So we'd be just in class and and this was, we have a phenomenal senior class this year. They were just so much fun to watch do this and just talk about these things. So really, really good class.
No, I'd like to just, thank Mr. Guarno. You're gonna probably do the same thing, but a couple of things that I really love about this is the collaboration between another teacher. I know that public schools many times get accused of not teaching government, not teaching the Constitution. Like this is like
This is the nitty-gritty.
this is the nitty gritty. The kids are doing a great job. You look at the bills that we pulled up here. Great work by our students, and and appreciate, you can see on Mr. Gore's, he's teaching standards and has rubrics, so the kids know exactly where they're at. That's the standards reference teaching that we've been talking about. So these are examples of how that looks in our school. I just wanted the board to be aware of some of
I'm
those
glad you
things.
did, because you talked about last year's program. Just look at how much better
Yeah.
it is this year
Yep.
because you collaborate.
It truly is, and already maybe Mr. Taylor like talking about next year then, right? Like it was really nice to see like, okay, so we have this concept in our head, but we need to get more specific in the standard, and we need to have rubrics that show the kid that. So I mean, that's what's really nice is the time we've spent together. I mean, he helped me come up with a lot of stuff that, like a lot of the parliamentary procedure stuff, he was really good. He gave me this Roberts cheat sheet, which was really nice to have. And yeah, that, I don't know if you can even see it, but
Maybe we want to do
Yeah,
that.
we need that.
That's a
fair.
lot. That's a lot of what our board norms are based on and stuff.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate you guys taking the time to have me come and talk to you. Always come visit my classroom anytime you want. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Martin.
Okay.
It's definitely worth it. Thank you for spending your
Your prep hour.
prep hour here.
Happy to do it.
I just realized it.
Okay, we're gonna jump back to 2.5 to the superintendent's report.
Superintendent's report, Madam Chair. Just from our superintendent at board level, we have the special meeting March 30th. We have that scheduled. We're gonna look at some bond things, and also if there's any other issues not issues, but any other things that need to be on the agenda, we'll put those on. But right now it's gonna be mostly bond conversation is what that one is. Going forward, technology department, just an update, the security system for the cameras has been completed. So that means we have all of our interior and exterior cameras complete, and they are very nice. So just wanted to let the board know about that. We are going to be ordering some Chromebooks. We have that in as one of the action items. Looking at the phone systems to see as phone systems and fiber routers are kind of connected. The department's been going through and getting the fiber optic routers in all the classrooms. So that project is moving along. A couple other things on the forefront of the technology department, upgrade the CTE business lab. Last year we did half those computers, and this summer they're going to do the second half, and then admin office computer upgrades for our secretaries. Maintenance and grounds, so preparation of the new high school gym. Look at your gym there, Willie. You notice something along the wall?
bleachers are gone.
The bleachers are starting to be taken out. We're moving forward. I'm so
Okay.
excited. So with this process, I heard that it was about 1981, 80 is when these bleachers came in. Willing, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not trying to point you out as a graduate of 1979 or anything, but did they have metal bleachers that they moved in from the football field into the
I
gym
think
back then?
so. I think we had to move them back and forth.
See, that's what
That was part of our PE.
That's what Mr. Bird, Mr. Bird started teaching in 1980, I think, his was 80 or 81, like a year or two after you graduated. He said that they would have those come in and they had to cut them in half. And I remember some of those bleachers back when the old football field, that there were some that would come apart. And I always wondered, well, why did they do this? That's weird.
Fit them through the
And that
door.
makes sense, it's because they fit them through the door.
Yeah.
And I think some of those bleachers are down at the fairgrounds right now, so. But the wood, they're taking the wood apart. Mr. Hansen will be able to repurpose that. And then the metal is gonna be going to Mr. Bird's welding class. And so we're gonna be able to repurpose all of that. I'm not sure what Mr. Hansen, I haven't had a chance to talk with him, but I am going to request that maybe we take a few of those and create some type of like gym memorial thing that we put in that gym, like make a little plaque out of it or something to put up in there on that. So we're excited about that. A few of the other things, going on with maintenance of grounds. We will talk in the action items on the project with the auditorium, but we're excited. We're getting bids in on the different projects. When those bids come in, I'll bring those to the board and go in that direction. So
Are they going to replace those school placards up there, or do you know?
we think we'll take them down.
Take them down because some of the schools aren't even in our conference anymore.
And some of them have different mascots from those. And so,
Mhm.
I was talking with Mr. Hadley about some different ideas. There's some inexpensive vinyl banners that could be put up there. That would, even if we went up to those same areas and put little clips for those vinyl banners, it's something that the different classes could come in different times and make it more recent. Because 93 is a long time ago. And especially when you ask the junior high and high school kids, 93 is ancient. For me, not so much. Food service, we're still, one of the things that we're keeping an eye on again is a free and reduced lunch form option. The food service is informing us that next year, we've had the free lunches for everybody. And one of the bad things about that is, it's good and bad, is it takes away the paperwork. But so many of our grants through Title I and our grant opportunities come from the free and reduced count. But we're also seeing an issue that in high school, a lot of the kids don't go to the lunchroom. And so there are some families that could qualify that just don't fill out the form. And in turn, that hurts the school. Because anytime that we do our E-weight grant, our Title I numbers, if we wanted to go with any other grants, they always ask for those levels that would qualify for free and reduced. So we're looking at an option to put into our registration packet next year. Just a quick question where we have the form of how many kids are in your family, a chart of what your income is, but not asking for what is your specific income. Because on the other one, there's a lot of families that, right, understandably so, don't want to fill that out. But if they would just say, yes, I fall on this, or no, I don't, we are being told that we could use that for our grants, for the E-weight grant, for the Title I programs. And so we're going to make that part of the registration form. That was one of the things that's connected with the food services. Transportation, in our action items, we will talk about the fuel purchases. It's making me feel a lot better than the price that we locked into back in January. We'll talk about that when we get there. We do have a parent survey that's a link on the school's front website, and also we sent it out on Facebook. The out-of-district students have been turning in their out-of-district applications, and so we're just keeping on top of that. And again, we have about 20% of our students who are from out-of-district. Without those students, West Jefferson would look completely different. We wouldn't have as many teachers. We'd probably lose 3 or 4 different programs in the high school. So you look at that and you're saying, we gotta be mindful of making sure that we're still a place where people want to come to school, and we are, where we have 20% of our students that are out of district that come to West Jefferson. Here's a fun story from one of our elementary students, Jace Blackham. They presented a demonstration of his unique dog racing sport. And so here's Jace, and there's his father, who's Thomas Blackham, who's a West Jefferson alumni. His mom, Veronica, who helps out in the ISU's math department. But you can see that Jace is here with the demonstration, and he actually does his own racing with those dogs, and he's won a couple of awards, and that the sleds can get up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. So third grade.
Third grade.
Oh no, 6 years old. That's going to be
First grade.
Wow.
Yep, in first grade. And so that was a fun presentation that we had here at the school. Mr. Johnson's continually reviewing the motto, respectful, responsible, and ready. I know I wish I could come out and say that because we teach this, that automatically every single person is following this every single second. But he's doing these jointly with Territon and Hamer. And it's just one of those things that as a school we're trying to teach it, but in no way is our community ever going to get there unless all of us pitch in. Parents, teachers, community members, and really where it starts is, are we able to treat each other in a respectful manner as well? And so it's one of those things that we're mindful of here at the school. Mr. Johnson's continuing doing that. A couple highlights with the secondary schools, extracurricular spring sports have started. Even though the sun is shining out there today, it's been pretty cold this spring so far. We're hoping to be on the field tomorrow for a first home softball and baseball games. And the tracks getting out and getting going. So those are some things that we have. EPA qualifiers right now in Boise. This is hot off the press picture actually from last night, I believe. So Hiram Spencer, Peyton Scott, Caitlin Johnson, Ethan Schweeder, Jordan Palmer, Bryden Garner, Kitty Daly, and Mrs. Stedman as advisor. They're there in front of the state capitol on West Jefferson Street. I think that's always a place where it's always fun for West Jefferson students to go get that picture taken. But we wish those students good luck. We'll be able to report on how they do. American Heritage, which isn't a school one, but just we have a lot of students that are in it. They'll start their trip tomorrow, which will go over spring break. They have 33 high school students and 21 adults from the community going. Mr. Gore is the one that sets that up, and that's a big responsibility for him. Like I said, it's something that I just thought I'd bring up, even though it's not one that we approve, but it is a fun activity that a lot of our kids will be going on. Other than that, any questions for me on superintendent stuff?
Being over at the ISBA, I noticed that West Jefferson sign there right in front of the Capitol.
Talk to that right there. Yep.
Yeah. I thought it'd
We
be,
should
I thought it'd be fun to have West Jefferson, personnel or students take a picture right in front of that. That's a
No, we
good
should
idea.
have put you right there on that one.
Great,
No,
thank you,
thank you.
Mr. Williams. Mrs. DeGrada, do you have any public comment sheets?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda. The floor will be open for a motion to approve the financial and personnel action items.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the financial items and the personnel.
And I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we need to ratify the summer fuel purchase.
Yes, I'll pull that up. So in January, I did come to the board with and the board voted to allow us to go ahead and purchase the prices of those, and then we would ratify them when we get them. So you can see that the summer mix blend did come in 15,000 gallons, but it was at $2.69. So,
That's great.
and I think it's a savings of, about $15,000 is what we saved by getting it that time. Makes you feel good when there's a savings, even though, but we don't want to compare it to the year before when it was $1 cheaper.
Well, we were really worried in January when it was $1 more, but
We were,
Yeah, but it'd be a lot worse if we had to purchase it today.
yes,
A
it
lot
would.
worse.
And so that's the. Yep, and there's the receipt for that.
Okay, the floor will be open for a motion to ratify that purchase.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we ratify the purchase.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. The Chromebook purchase.
All right. Mentioned this briefly in the superintendent report, that the technology department is preparing for the 22-23 school year, and with the rotation, with the outgoing seniors and coming freshman class, and then also we learned that the Chromebooks have about a 4 to 5 year lifespan on where they can be updated and upgraded with the new technology. So anytime we invest in Chromebooks, it's just going to be a rotation. One of the neat things about these Chromebooks, if I pull up the purchase, and you'll see there's going to be a custom printing for free, and so they'll be able to have an engraving of the West Jefferson logo on each of those that comes as part of this. That's going to be a neat addition to it. Then also with the warranties and everything else that come on that. So they're looking to get sick. Go ahead.
Do most of the kids, the seniors take theirs?
Yes.
They do.
Yep. Which is good because it helps them move out. So with 65 Chromebooks with a 4-year warranty, we're looking at $26,000. This will come out of the general technology account, which is budgeted for, and the money is there for that. So I can answer any questions that the board has.
Is that how many students there are going to their place?
Yeah. So it's
There is the number of students that are leaving plus any that have reached the end of their life.
yeah. So not every new freshman gets exactly these that are ordered, but they do have the newer ones that they get. So it's a balancing act because it's the 8th grade class going into the freshman is the biggest class in the district at this time. The senior class going out is smaller than that, but it's close to it. About, I think we have 60, between 64 and 67 7th graders, depending on who's moved into, or excuse me, 8th graders. So it's close to that.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question? Carrie, what happens with the old Chromebooks when they become obsolete?
I'm not sure. That would be a question for our technology department.
I can look into that for you.
Board be open for motions for the Chromebooks.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve proposed Chromebook purchase.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next, the auditorium sound project.
Yeah. Also alluded to this one. Mr. Brown, with that vacuum, is that gonna?
It's unlocked though, so it's still open meeting.
Perfect. Well, you can open that as soon as the vacuum
I will.
is passed. So as part of the bond that we passed last year, we did talk about auditorium projects. Now, initially, when I visited with Mr. Soderquist about this, we were looking at the electrical and the lights. And he mentioned to us at that time that those were things that were way beyond his scope of expertise. And we estimated about 250,000 that would be like, okay, if we're gonna have an electrician coming in and they're gonna be changing lights and electrical things, that this would have been probably close to what it's at. Since that time in the department, we've had Dean Erickson that's come on and started working part-time in the maintenance department. Dean has a lot of experience in sound and other things with the auditorium. And as we've gone in and looked at the different things to say, what is it that we need to do? We're finding that this amount is probably a little bit higher, which will allow us to roll that over into other projects that we have to offset their prices that are going up, which is at the end, it's not gonna be extra. It's probably just gonna help cover the other things. So with this right now, we're proposing that the board will allow us to allocate a portion of the bond money to focus on the sound system in the auditorium. This will allow us to work in-house. We won't have to contract out. Mr. Erickson will be the one that will be able to put all of this together and up. So that saves us money instead of paying somebody from, to come in where we're gonna have travel costs, higher installment costs and everything else. So Dean has reached out to, a couple different companies to get ideas and say, what is it that they're using on Broadway? What is it that they're using in the big plays? And he came up with he found three different brands of sound systems and mixers. And ultimately, at the end of the day, he found the one that was right in the middle. There was one that was like for 33,000, one for like 18, and this one's coming in between 25, but that didn't include all the cabling and everything. So one of the things that I'm asking the board is that we approve $30,000 from the bond that we approve right now, that will allow us, and I'll track and be able to come back and report to the board how we're doing on this portion of the auditorium project. Other projects that we're looking at in the auditorium will be for lights, and figuring out replacing the old halogen lights with LED. We're not sure if we need to change the electrical as much as we thought it would. There still might be some of that, and so there's still a big cushion on what we can do, but there's still some curtains that need to be replaced. We want to put a short throw projector that's in the back, which would allow scenes to be projected from a projector instead of being made. Most of the plays that come out now, for an extra cost, will send you all of their scenes that can just be plugged into a short throw projector. The different things that he's looking at for the sound, I'll pull this up. Here's an example of a digital mixer. And so this is a digital mixer. Right now, we're not on digital, we're on analog with everything on that. And our own board chair this last month has been volunteering in the community play up in the sound booth. And I think you'd be able to say that there's some upgrades that could be done up there.
There is some antique equipment up there that definitely needs to be upgraded.
And so by having the digital mixer up there, these would be able to have add-ins or plugins to computers and computer systems. They can also be addressed at different places. So there's a mixer right now that's upstairs right now, and it's, like I said, it's an antique. It's like you're watching the old Star Treks, shows. And this one here and like Dean was telling me, this is one here that is used in Broadway production shows. They have this one and another brand that they look at. This is the one he feels like it will fit what we need. But besides that, is they have a digital stage box. We do not have one of these right now. And this would go down at the stage level, where inputs and outputs can be put in down at the stage. Right now, everything has to be wired back up to the top, and this would help modernize it by doing that. So Dean's put a lot of time into this. He's worked with they're married, so Mrs. Erickson, who was our drama teacher. They've worked together on a lot of these plays, and these are the things that they see that they can do right now. So along that, they would, let's see, we go to the speaker system. Right now, we have 2 speakers that are up there in the front. Those would be replaced with a 3-speaker system on both sides, which would allow. What's that? All that's part of it. Yep. This is an addition. This is so the mixer, the sound box, the speakers, the microphones, and the cabling, anything to do with the speaker system, we're looking to have it around $30,000. And if I know Dean, he'll probably figure out a way to make it less. But we want to make sure we have enough for that.
What's the idea with that? Is that you teach students during that class of Amanda's? You take some kids that want to learn how to run these.
That's a really good question, because currently with the analog antique one that Tanis was helping out with, students currently do learn how to do that. So in her class, she will have students who are part of the drama class as the sound technicians. But realistically, they're not going to take what they're learning right now with the old analog system and be able to go get a job somewhere else. But if you have,
Because it's so outdated.
because it's so outdated, but if you have something like this one here with the digital and compare it where you do have software with computers that can plug into it and they can do the mixing and the matching, that would allow students to have their foot, well, at least experience with something that's closer to what would happen outside of the school. And so when Dean was asking me, he's like, hey, we probably could survive with the analog, but the digital's this. And so when I talk about the throw projector at the back of the, you know, with everything else with that and the curtains and all of those things, you could start to cross into the technology classes or the business graphics classes and designing sets and helping out with it. So this would give us the opportunity to at least explore that. And I like that.
Yeah.
Because it allows it. So there's a lot of different things in the auditorium as when we look at the lights, the curtains, the backdrop, the short throw projector. Those are things that aren't on this 30,000, but are still on the bond. And we'll go, and then as we get closer to those other things that we look at is upgrading the dressing rooms in the back, you know, possibly, there's a lot of different things, whether we need to go through the restrooms, other things like that. I know that the last updates in the auditorium were about 15 to 20 years ago.
What did they do?
And they repainted it, they took out the chairs and they put new chairs in, and I believe new carpet down at the bottom,
Okay, so those chairs are only,
about 15 years old.
okay,
So I don't know. I know that when we talked, Nedra asked how old are those, because some of those she felt like weren't working.
that's some use.
And so I haven't had a chance to really even think about that because it wasn't in my view.
I don't know how long they're supposed to last.
It might be something that can be repaired and we just need to do that.
Even if it's just that one row or something.
Right.
But we'll look into it. So like I said, I'm excited about this opportunity. I think the best way for me to have transparency to the board, to the patrons when it comes to how we're spending the bond. This is how I'm going to propose to do it, is come in, find the chunks, and then I can come back and report later on where we're at with these spending. And then that way the board still has the ability to direct the superintendent or any of the other projects or anything else. So any questions on the auditorium or more suggestions or anything else with that?
I first appreciate Mr. Erickson and Mrs. Erickson for the time they put in and their willingness to do the research and say, this would be the best fit for our school, but their level of expertise, we're just so lucky to have them. And the dean's willing to take on a project like this. I just appreciate them. But I don't know, with the kids in drama, I heard a couple of them say, well, maybe you're not comfortable being up on the stage. Maybe that's not for you, but you still have a part and to be involved in it. It's great. So,
Yeah, you weren't too excited to be down on the stage.
oh no.
They have
It's not for
wardrobe
everyone.
people, do they have makeup people, do they have, I mean, are these kids all part of the class, learning these things, or?
Those are all suggestions that we can take. I have no idea about those. But I do know that they work with their sound group and the sound box, you know.
I just like to see more kids participate, other than being on the stage.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things, the scenery changers, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure
The
you have, I'm sure they
lighting.
know all that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the floor would be open for a motion regarding the proposed auditorium sound project allocation of $30,000.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the proposed auditorium sound project allocation of $30,000.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I received an answer to Willie's question.
Good.
Mrs. Bingham did some research and we actually have a company that buys back our Chromebooks that are no longer usable.
So maybe they recycle them.
Right.
And make use of them.
Yep.
That's good.
Thanks
Thank you,
for that.
Mrs. DeGraff. Okay, next, maintenance trailer purchase.
All right, this is one that's come up with all the different projects that we have coming up. But also, I see this as a need that we have in the district. Currently, we have, I'm hearing music. Is that your phone?
Sorry, I was trying to.
No, I hear it. I hear the music. Right now, we have an old makeshift dump trailer that they put the coals in. But it was one that,
Yeah, it's very old.
it's really old. It's probably, it's one that's been around since I think I've been in school.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
the question that we have here is, and I went to Mr. Soderquist and said, do we need a dump trailer? And I can think of, we started brainstorming all the different things that we could do with a dump trailer when it comes to cleanup and garbage and just, there's lots of times where during the summer when we're hauling things to the dump, like the tree limbs or whatever, that it takes him like 5 or 6 runs to the dump because they're taking such a small trailer or the pickup. And we have remodel projects that are going to be going on that we're going to take care of in the district. We're saving money by having our own district do it instead of paying somebody else, like the Hamer kitchen remodel. We're gonna have to be tearing stuff out, taking that away, going and dumping it somewhere. We just figured this might be a good time with our plant facility money, which we do have funds available for a trailer. So Mr. Soderquist picked up 3 different quotes. They're not the same ones, but they're all similar in prices.
They're probably just different brands.
Different brands.
And different, a little bit of different specs, maybe the length or the height.
Was it one a little deeper?
Yes, one was a deeper one. So here are the pictures of the ones. When we talked about it, we probably for our need just need a short. They had the 2-foot one. This is the one quote for the tall one, but these aren't very easy to throw things in the side if you're loading stuff. You can carry a lot more, but just for us, we don't have a skidster that we can dump in. That's something that we would need for that. So this is one that they didn't really want to go with. This other one was only a 14-foot compared to a 16-foot. And I asked him, what do you think would meet our needs the best? And he thought that this one here for $13,000, well, with the 16-foot trailer here would be the best. It has a remote, for the dump and everything else. And so, as a superintendent, I do recommend that this is something that we would use well in our maintenance department. Other things that, I was thinking even like with spring sports, if we needed a half a scoop of dirt for the softball field and baseball field, instead of having to pay for a truck to come down and do it, or go out and beg a community member, hey, can you please do this? We could take the district truck and go get the scoop of the dirt that we needed.
Do you have a place to park this?
Haven't thought about that yet, but I'm sure that there's places over here.
Or
Or
even at
the
the bus barn.
Bus barn. It would be bus barn
Yeah.
is where it would be at. Yeah, that's exactly where it would be. So
So the one they're recommending is the first one.
is it 13,000?
Yeah. I think the 16-footer would be better. It gives you a little more capacity and it's not that much more money
No,
for a couple extra foot. Plus, you got the hydraulic lift, so it'd save a lot of labor where you could just slide the trash or whatever off and not have to shovel it off.
yeah, there's a lot of times that this would be super
Don't
helpful.
we have anything like this?
The only thing we have right now is a really old converted dump trailer. And so the only way I can explain that is like an old pickup bed that they've adjusted
I
to
don't
make
think the
it.
dump works very good on
The
it.
dump, it's old. It
So what would you do with the old one?
could probably still keep it next to one of the coal places for them to put it in. They'll probably still use it. But that one is not very helpful to use on the other big projects.
This will make our big projects, our classroom remodels and such forth way more efficient. And it'll, in the long run, save us money because we aren't paying somebody else to take care of it.
Will the floor be open for a motion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we purchase this, let's see, what is it, $13,450 16-foot big text trailer.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Gore came in and took care of 5.1, so we'll move on to 5.2, legislative update.
No, and like I said, the legislative session is coming close to an end. Nothing really new that I have to present on saying, hey, these are big changes. I know that the kindergarten bill is going to be revisited tomorrow. I'm hearing that there might be some opposition in the House to that one.
They've been trying to amend it all through the spring.
Yeah,
I thought that the prognosis was that it was gonna pass.
There's been some new things that have come out in the last 24 hours
yeah.
that are putting it in question. We were hoping by putting it on here, we'd have like some good
Some-
news to
there's
share,
not. I
but
don't
it's
have
still
any.
all big question marks.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same as it's been. The ones that have passed have passed. And so we'll keep our eyes on that. Maybe during our next work meeting, be able to visit more about it.
Is it kind of the same as far as enrollment versus attendance-based funding?
That one is,
0723.
yeah, that one is still needing to be finalized, but that one's looking like it's gonna go, because there's a two-year window on it. So I think the legislatures feel comfortable saying, let's try this for 2 years to do enrollment-based funding. And then they're going to have a committee that will get together to explore the actual formula part. But that was the part that was complicated 3 or 4 years ago when they looked at it, is when they start adjusting the numbers and the multipliers. It's not simple now. Like nothing is simple about the current one. It's just we're used to it because it's the formula they've used since 1994 on that.
Is
So
it gonna hurt magnet schools
which one's the,
enrollment versus ADA?
oh, I don't know about magnet schools.
No, because they're still basing it.
It's based off the enrollment.
Off the
Yeah.
enrollment.
Okay.
So I'd just like to mention, there's a lot of bills over there, but most of them are not gonna go anywhere. They're trying to finish up the legislative session.
So it sounds like it's just like Mr. Gore's government class.
Yeah.
right?
Just higher stakes is all.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, 5.3, security camera system upgrade.
Yes, the final breakdown on the, so in July or August, excuse me, we voted to move forward,
July.
or July was July, with a camera system. And so our bonds are able to be used for this because this is a safety system that we talked about in our bond. And so by December, the interior portion of that was paid for and completed, and that was 55,000. And then the exterior part was completed just this last week. And so that completed the 25,000. So that was, I believe it was like $39 more than what we looked at before. So it came in really close. And so just wanted to say, you know what, we're moving in that direction. We have really good cameras throughout the school district in the hallways and outside the buildings. And at all areas.
Am I remembering wrong that I thought some of this was gonna be paid for with ESSER?
The security cameras aren't with ESSER, but we were thinking with the safety, we were talking about the PA system, and that's something that we haven't done that. yet. So the PA system is one that we could use ESSER funds for if it's connected to classroom instruction and having those microphones. And so this is a different portion of that.
Okay, ESSER spending plan.
All right, just a quarterly review. This is a requirement. I don't have anything new on this, but this is one of the requirements that we have to bring it back up to the board. If there's any other things they wanted to add. This is our ESSER plan that was approved and is currently on our website. Just talks about how in these meetings, we open it up for patrons, and in my work meetings and the PA meetings, patrons can come and they can ask us, say, hey, could we have the ESSER money? This is how we want you to spend it. We've had different suggestions from the PA meetings. You know, some of the things that we've looked at is, can we look at audio systems, different supplies and materials? Other things like the water bottle systems. A couple other things that I think that have come up since we've done this. I don't think it changes it because it just talks about any other related costs for maintaining operations. Some in our district, we've done I'm proud of our district for staying in school. And that's the school board right here that's said, hey, no, we need to be in school as much as possible. And so we might be thinking, well, how is COVID really impacting us? Is this money really even going to be used for it? You know, there are things I think we could look at this a little bit, you know, other costs for it. The learning loss portion of these funds. We've hired additional staff members to be able to come in and help, and we're seeing the fruits of that already with having extra staff available that we wouldn't have been able to do without this COVID money. Other things, you know, if we're looking at carpet replacements, if we have buildings that have old carpet in them, and the carpet creates airflow, that's, you know, when you're in a place with a lot of old carpet, you know, that could be something where air quality can be improved with newer carpet. And so those are some things that as I'm looking at some of this ESSER money, we're gonna have 2 years to spend our ESSER 3 money. So we still have until 2024 to complete all of that. Those are some just ideas that I've had going through with that, but we have a lot of additional learning opportunities for kids. You know, our blended days helps. You look at that, you're saying, what if we did have like a Saturday school or a summer school all year long? What we're finding is most parents feel like we're giving everything we can. Like, if not, we would probably have everybody here every single blended day saying, I don't want to ever miss school. So just looking at the way that things are going, like even if we offered summer school, I think some kids are like, I need a break. I need to have that break. It's not, more is not always better. Sometimes you have to have a balance. And I think our plan reaches that. But I'm just curious if there's anything else at the school board, as you look through these different plans, is there something we're missing besides the, you know, if carpeting could come in and help? Nedra, you talked about, you know, the sound system things, especially in times where with wearing masks or whatever. You know, those are things that are jumping out at me. I don't know if there's any thoughts that you guys have had or any of the patrons has shared with you guys.
I think the water bottle fill stations is a real good idea.
I'd like to see that pursued.
And we do have the mental health part of it. So, water stations, Andrea, anything additional?
Yep, I've talked to other school people over at the ISBA, and they said the same thing. What we're saying is they're going to start replacing some of their carpeting with the ESSER money. So other districts are thinking the same as what we are.
You know, there was one, Clark County had a really unique use of it as well. It's one that I hadn't thought of, but they applied for and received a 12-passenger van that they can use to help in times of conflict with busing. If they can't find a substitute for busing and they only need to go pick up 1 or 2 kids, they'd be able to use that bus or van in lieu of that. They also were able to upgrade their driver's ed car. Going back to the carpet thing, the car was old and has cloth interior, which is harder to clean when you have, you know, things like that. So I haven't looked at ours. Those are,
That's thinking out of the box, isn't it?
but that's something that we could also look at.
Were we contemplating using some of that money for pull down benches in the lunchroom?
Not in our lunchroom, no.
Wouldn't work in our lunchroom.
No, we
Not
don't
in
have,
our gymnasium.
no. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things. That's why this plan, I guess, you know, they want it to be open and fluid to be able to do that.
You could really get to signage. I don't know how you would do that.
I don't know
That might be
either.
a stretch. To use it for signage on buildings.
Oh, I think the best way to do
I
that,
think we can.
find it in the bond,
Find out the bond.
so.
The other portion is our learning loss with the ESSER III spending.
Yeah.
Is that on here?
It's connected to this. This is the LEA ARPS plan is both of them. It's both the regular ESSER III and the learning loss on top of that. Okay,
All right, 5.5, safe return to school plan.
and so again, our safe return to school plan is the same that we had at the beginning of the year. Just wanted to bring that up formally to the board to see if there was anything else you felt like needed to be amended or changed, or if there's any patrons that have come to you concerned about the way that we're doing business as it pertains to COVID and no.
No complaints.
No concerns.
Thank you.
Okay, a reminder about the West Jefferson School Board Scholarship.
I think we missed one.
It was flip-flopped. We flip-flopped it.
That's fine.
Oh.
Okay, keep going.
Okay.
Yep, keep going. Yours.
Just a reminder that that is sneaking right up on us, and
Mhm.
before we know it, we'll be in graduation, so
So is everybody on board for that again?
just get your money into Mrs. Bingham
Either Patty or myself.
and
Uh-huh.
Mr. Brown.
So is the amount gonna be $600? Is that correct? Or,
Yep, so if all
$600.
6 members of you contribute, it would be 600.
okay, all right, fine.
Okay, and the last one on my list is the tree trimming.
Okay. Tree trimming. So here's, I just wanted to bring it up to the board. As we were looking at roofs and we had a couple, some bids that are coming in for our roof projects. As I've talked with Mr. Soderquist and I was up on the high school roof yesterday, you can see from these pictures here that the trees that are in front of the high school, there's going to have to be some that are either trimmed down or cut back when the new roof comes on that one. So the question that I have is, what do we do? This one's in front of the elementary school. There's been the talk about getting signage out there on the different buildings. In the places where I think we could put the signage, the trees are in the way. Pros and cons, there's part of me that says, what if we came in and cut down all the trees in the front? Are we gonna have everybody upset that we're, cutting down the trees that have been there for years and years? They're not really ones that people come out and sit and enjoy the shade. They're on the north side of our buildings. They're like this one here in front of the elementary, it's big, but it's gonna get bigger. I've had big pine trees around my own personal property that we've had to take down. But
Is it a hazard? That one,
Could be.
like with winds.
it could be,
I never have very deep roots.
that's the thing is they get there, they get that big. It could be impacting
Is it impacting your foundation on your building? Is it impacting
Could
your
be.
sidewalk,
It-
your asphalt?
it does on the asphalt on this side, like all those things it could be, and so I'm thinking that, I'm leaning towards just cutting them down.
Could they be moved with the spade of moving?
I don't know if that one could.
I think that one's,
Is
I
it
think
too
I think
big?
it's too big. This one here, it's way close to the building.
Scraggly.
That one looks like it might be dead.
You look at this one, look how
well,
close to
these
the
were
building.
just taken today.
Yeah,
So-
you can see that they're taken close to the building on both of those.
Those are horrible.
These, cut them halfway off, you cut them all the way off.
Just take them out.
Um,
Ruining the side of your building.
yeah, and you can see the damage right there
Yeah.
on some of those. I don't know if we can repaint those. Those are the things that come off, you're gonna see that. So there's two different sides to it. There might be one tree, this one right here, you can barely see it. It might be able to be trimmed and kept. This one that's right here, I think personally, it doesn't allow your front office to be able to see out into the parking
I
lot.
think it's hard to find where the front door is on the building.
I-
There's a tree there.
I agree.
I don't see a tree worth saving there.
Okay,
What are your thoughts on inviting someone out to maybe give us some landscaping ideas? Like, I hate to just get rid of all of it and just have
Nothing.
a building.
I think there's the one that hasn't leaked out yet. if it was properly
This
shaped.
one right here,
Yeah, if
Yeah.
it was properly shaped, and it's a safe distance. from the
Yeah.
Building, and it doesn't appear to be a hazard to the building.
Just start over again with shrubs,
Mhm.
shrubs and things. that-
Bushes.
Well, just move them further out, maybe.
Flowers, something.
And just they're the shrubs that aren't gonna grow big.
Mhm.
Just get the ones that are.
that's a good suggestion, but I'm kind of feeling the same way that I'm hearing the board say that, they're not uniform. They don't, and like, you look at the signage up here on the top where you have the gym. This would be a great place for a nice sign, it's West Jefferson High School. And it would, but if we put it up there right now, it'd be hidden behind all of these things. And I think, and Andrew, you're absolutely right, those that aren't familiar, you can't tell that this is the front office.
Right? No, I had a hard time.
I have a lot of people ask me, well, where do I go in?
Yeah, I don't see a tree there worth saving.
Okay, well, I'll visit, I'll see if there's somebody from landscaping who will come out, but this is something I think that you'd be able to knock these down, bring a stump grinder in, take them out. And then,
This could be done locally.
absolutely, it could actually be done in-house, I think. This would be something where, the maintenance would be able to, maybe just, after school's out, I could get the principals, Mr. Johnson and Mr. See them with the chainsaw. Yeah, I think this could be something that could be done in-house or even. Not a lot of with there, but I just, anytime we have a major change, something like that.
To the
Cause
face of the.
to the face of this, of the
You
building,
have to have a way that you're going to improve it. So you're taking it out to do what? Put up a
I
new
agree.
sign.
new roof, new sign,
Correct
shrubs.
something, make it look better.
An opportunity, but it's not a sad thing. It's gonna be-
so I think you're right, I think we need to have a
It's
sign that's going up, so people can see, oh, okay,
That's the high school. It's elementary.
here's the district office.
I don't like the idea of uniformity. Look like,
Yeah.
that's West Jefferson School District.
Yeah. Yeah,
It all looks nice.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I had, I thought anytime you're gonna cut a tree down, you need more than one person.
Yeah, probably should.
Let's look at that, but at least to get the feedback from it. Maybe somebody listening in at home will think on that and say, don't do that, because it was there, but I can't remember those trees. I'm trying to think when I was a senior.
There weren't any when I was.
They weren't that big, obviously, but that was just like a little tree, but you look at this one, it's split. That's gonna be a danger if it gets bigger,
Probably already is.
Well, it doesn't really help with the grass around it, dropping needles, you can't sit on the
Oh, it's
lawn because of the
horrible.
needles. So.
Okay, well, we'll see you all back here on the 30th. Before we open for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn this week.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
just javelin.